Welcome Pisces to your Pisces August 2021 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who are just stopping by for the first time. And for the subscribers, much love and affection to you. You know I love to see you each month, and I love to hear that you enjoy the readings yourselves by leaving the notes on the YouTube message thing, whatever it's called there, the comment section. It's a virtuous circle that way. It really pays it forward for me because it gives me great pleasure. I've done, as you know, some readings for you, some of you beautiful, perfect Pisces people in the last month. And of course, if you'd like to have your own reading, just check out the information in the box below. But have a look at the website that I've linked in. That's my website. Have a look at that in particular, because there's information on there which relates to clairvoyance and to astrology that I think you'll find very interesting, because I use a lot of astrology in my tarot readings. And what I do is I tell you how I think astrology works and why it does, and some other things which you will find of use and interest, I'm sure. Now let's take 5 cards, shall we? Because 5 is all we need, because each of the cards is jam-packed full of information. So let's see what this first one might be for you, Pisces. The 6 of Swords. What's this one here? The Knight of Cups. Incidentally, I might use my pen to point out a couple of the more esoteric imagery that's in it. Probably not all of it, because we don't have time, or well, at least the things that I find interesting anyway. And just have a quick chat about some of those things while we're going through the reading, because it's always interesting, isn't it? I mean, that's why we're here, to learn and to enjoy ourselves. There's the 3 of Discs. Gee, I can see you might be quite busy, I think. Let's have a look what else is here. This is the Princess of Discs. Probably one of my favorite energies, the Princess of Discs, I have to say. I mean, a lot of them are. I'm so familiar with them all now after all these years, but that of the Princess in particular is just so fortifying and comforting and beautiful. And what's this one here? There's the 7 of Cups. Well, why don't you come sit down here next to me? We'll have a look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Then let me just move over a bit so you can see. Okay, now that's better. You can see those, can you? I'll bring them in and we'll have a look at them together. Now, here is the 6 of Swords. Now, who said sword cards were all bad? This is actually a beauty for you. It's a good one. Now, on the image of it, well, it's called Science, but really I call it the Lord of Earned Success, really. Success, I'll repeat it. There are, however, as one might expect, here a number of scientific instruments. We don't need to go into the detail of them other than to just make the observation that the artist has done a good job in depicting the scientific instruments, other than to say that here are the little signs of the zodiac all going around that wheel there, and that looks like Jupiter, and that looks like Saturn, and of course all these are these are all the 7 classical planets which are going around there. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Now, of course, astrologically, this is Mercury ruling the 2nd decan of Aquarius, which is from the 30th of January through to the 9th of February. Well, the air planet of Mercury finds itself in the fixed sign of air. You know how there are cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs? Well, Aquarius is a fixed air sign. You'd think it's a water sign, wouldn't you, from the name, but it is actually an air sign. So it's the fixed sign of air, Aquarius. Well, Mercury, which is ruling the 2nd decan of Aquarius, happens to be exalted in Aquarius, which highlights the intellectual qualities of this card. Now, Aquarius is an air sign which can be detached and intellectual by nature, and Mercury's ability to analyze, brings you a clear perspective going forward. Now, the astrology here, I think, suggests a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation. A situation is needed. You need to analyze something without bias and without too much emotion to get the best result. Now, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality, so it could also represent you, I think, representing or communicating ideas that are new, even unconventional, in an orderly way that people will be able to understand. These are the backs of the cards, incidentally, if you were wondering what they are. Now, I think that this is a time when you'll have great mental clarity. You'll be using logic, and there's a period of calmness coming up ahead of you. You'll be able to unify ideas together and get an all-embracing understanding, an all-encompassing vision. Now, this intellectual clarity, I think, has come from you having learnt from difficult experiences in the past. Now, you have grown through some tough times, haven't you? But now you have a handle on life, and you can make intelligent decisions that are going to benefit your life. There's a greater level of awareness to your thinking and actions at the moment. That could also mean that a situation that you haven't actually been able to come to grips with is now starting to come better. You are now thinking out a better approach in dealing with the situation. You possess now the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives. Your understanding of things unites many different aspects. Where are and what are the ruts in your life? Trust your insight. Communicate in a way that others will understand, and allow the rose to unfold. And say to yourself, the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. Well, let's have a look at the card which is directly underneath. That wonderful, wonderful imagery that's there, and the energy even better. Let's have a look at this. This is the Princess of Discs. Now, I should state at the outset that court cards can be either male or female, irrespective of how they happen to be depicted. But here is a young woman with, oh look, these are Hebrew biblical letters that I won't go into, but standing on these green hills with what looks like the morning dawning behind her. And here is a lamb's head, or a sheep's head, winged as her crest. The princess, well, the princess of the echoing hills, the rose of the palace of the earth. Now, I think that people important to you during this time are going to be Taurus, Aries, Gemini. You will be beautiful, or handsome, as the case may be, and strong, pregnant with life, generous, kind, and benevolent. Esoterically, she is the earthy part of Earth, and that means that she is, I guess, the lowest court card in the lowest suit, and she has with her all of the energies from all of the other court cards. She is, if you like, life eternal itself, the embodiment on it, the embodiment of renewal, the embodiment of reincarnation and renewal. Now, as that lowest court card in the lowest suit, she carries with her the energies of these other suits. And she's the daughter who has become the mother, and therefore she recycles everything around her. Now, her qualities, and this could also refer to those star signs that I mentioned, although you will be someone who is kind and benevolent, and now following your true will or purpose in life. So this card is about getting in touch with that most important aspect of yourself and protecting it. Just as the princess here seems to protect all of creation. Now, this can refer to a physical pregnancy, or it could be the beginning of something new, the birth of ideas, the creation of a new project. This certainly represents for you now a productive time after what may to you have appeared to be something of a barren stretch. Now, she's peaceful by nature, and she deals badly with conflict, this girl. So for this month, avoid conflict if you can. There's a lot of getting feelings here of marriage and motherhood, so there's things there you're either going to be involved in, grandparents, becoming parenting, mothers, fathers. You could be acting as a parent or as a paternal or maternal figure to somebody else by giving them counsel and advice. In any event, there is something new entering into your life, so prepare yourself. What must you do in order to be ready for something new to come into your life? Breathe gently, then close your eyes and feel the quality of newness now entering your life, and say to yourself, I am now ready for the new beauty in my life. Well, we shall have a look at Mr. Knight of Cups. And what do you have to tell me? Let's get you in focus first. The Knight of Cups, the Lord of the waves and waters, the King of the hosts of the sea. Well, here he has a peacock with opened wings. Let's see that as his crest. There it is there. There's a peacock with the open wing. There's its tail and more peacock feathers coming down here. Peacocks all over him. I think that might tell us something about him. Let me see what else comes up. Well, the peacock is the symbol of transcendental experience anyway. We do know that. The peacock here is also symbolic of the brilliance of water in its active phase, how it sparkles and fluoresces. Now this knight rides a white steed through churning waves of the sea. He is the fiery part of water. As a knight, he's fire, and water, well, fire and water, that's a problem. There's going to be a lot of conflict in his personality, I think. But he is nevertheless the forceful, powerful aspect of the element of water. His waters are rains and gushing springs and the alchemical power of solution. The Knight of Cups combines the creativity of fire with the water receptivity. Thus, he is artistic and can very often be gifted with divine inspiration, I think. Like Parsifal, that knight, I think he was of the Round Table, who sought after the Holy Grail. Well, the Knight of Cups seeks redemption through purity and renunciation. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling here, redemption, the need for redemption. But the energy of the knight is fleeting. His waters do not run deep, and his nature is passive. His will is concentrated on the vibrations that he receives. Now, I think who could also be important to you during this period is Aquarius. Look, here is a man. Now, as I say, earlier comment, genders are fluid on court cards. This is someone with commitment issues. Someone who is amiable but passive, attracted to excitement. Someone who has an unsustainable enthusiasm. Someone who's very sensitive and yet kind of shallow, really. He has a capacity for giving and of reaching higher emotional planes. But this is someone who has tended to mismanage his affairs, and without luck his career has kind of looks like a unbroken record of failure. Often his mental civil wars lead to alcohol or substance abuse. The peacock feathers that are here are very interesting, I think. You know, in the West, the peacock has stood for vanity and ego, and in the East for perception and wisdom. Its skin is said to be incorruptible. I suspect, however, that there's a lot of vanity and ego associated with this person. He is mostly passive with the qualities of Venus or of a weak Jupiter. Look, he's friendly in a passive way, but he is on the whole so superficial that it's hard to reach his depth. His name is written in water. Somebody who, nevertheless, can be quite good fun to be around because they can very well be very loving and generous, supportive and tender, and funnily enough can be able to, I think he can be able to get some high spiritual achievement here. I will say this though, and the lesbian and gay community, please make the necessary adjustment here. But this is someone who likes the opposite sex, and the opposite sex likes them. They're attractive. And what you will find during this month is that you will have a great degree of sexual charisma. You are going to be very attractive to other people. And do with that what you will. I'm sure you'll be able to manage it. This is someone who's very often ruled by the emotions, but not all that practical, and to be honest, will try to flatter you rather than pick up their share of the expenses. They can be intensely insecure, needing reassurances all the time. And really at their worst, this person is unfaithful. They could be fun, but they're unfaithful. They could be fun, but they're fickle. They can be fun, but they're shallow. They can be fun, but they can be highly emotional and unreliable. I think where this is positioned on top of this card here is that you yearn for an intensive interchange with those of like mind and outlook for you. I think you are looking for a relationship which is deep relationship, deep emotion. Ask yourself, how can the interchange in your relationships be enriched? Seek out your true family in which you feel at home. There you'll find the quality of communication that you long for. This is a person who has a good way with them, but there's not a lot of depth to their personality. And it's someone who, though good fun, and probably good fun in bed, if I can put it that way, actually doesn't hang around for very long. Well, whatever floats your boat is what I say. Now this is an interesting card here. You've got this great energy just to follow it. It's in the center of it, and it's overshadowing this, by the way. And diagonally opposite, this six has been overshadowing it, but let's have a look at it. Is there anything that we can work out from the background? Well, other than the 7 cups, well, there's a sign saying debauch. Well, I'll say nothing about that. The background here looks quite arid, doesn't it, with strange things coming up and will-o'-the-wisps. Almost those sort of circular things, like those little wind circles that come up from hot ground. A couple of phases of the moon going on there. It's quite arid by the looks of things, but this greenery speaks to me of the opportunity for great rebirth that's coming on here. This is illusionary success. And it is Venus ruling the 3rd decan of Scorpio. Now the number 7 here for me, the number 7 mystically for me has an association with Venus as well. So we have a double Venus here because Venus rules the 3rd decan of Scorpio. And Venus is the planet of love. And Scorpio is all about intensity, in-depth transformation and exploration of yourself and others. But there's another Venus in the number 7, so Venus doesn't have any handbrake applied here. And she goes about her work unchecked. And Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, so it can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they can get channeled into negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio. Now, this can imply that it's possible to indulge in excess reactive behavior due to something that has affected you deeply and changed you, or changed you in a way which throws up its own set of problems. The card represents the workings of Venus in the sphere of your mind, where her influence is by no means clear-sightedness. You believe what you want to believe when you are under the influence of Venus. Look, it's got to be said that it's here and it can relate to indulging in addictive emotions which actually don't really represent the real you, and it can also refer to overeating or drinking too much or drugs or promiscuity, things like this, in a way that doesn't actually represent the real you. It can indicate negative thoughts or depression which are being self-medicated by excessives. There may be some negative patterns which have built up which relate to sex, diet, alcohol. And it calls you to recognize maybe that there's, in some instances, and this just could be a binge, for a day or a night, so it's nothing to go and see a psychiatrist about at all, nothing like that at all. But to recognize that you've perhaps lost control over circumstances and this is producing damaging lifestyle choices. Let me just say this. Recognize perhaps that you are troubled by something and regain your personal power. Is there some disappointment you have not yet worked out? Have you experienced something that was just a little bit too good? Have you overtaxed yourself or overdone things? As you recognize and accept your shadows, they lose their power over you. And when it comes to self-medication, remember this always, that, and this often relates to things which have happened in the past, but despite what you may believe, you can disappoint people and still be good enough. You can make mistakes and still be capable and talented. You can let people down and still be worthwhile and deserving of love. Everybody has disappointed someone they care about. Everybody messes things up, lets people down, makes mistakes. Not because we are inadequate or fundamentally inept, but because we are imperfect and fundamentally human, and expecting anything different really is just setting yourself up for failure. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Nobody is perfect. Anyway, let's go and see this central energy which is here, shall we? Which is just fantastic. What does the image mean? I don't know. Let's have a look. Well, first of all, the Three of Discs. Now it's called work, and it is actually the Lord of material work. And it is Mars in the second decan of Capricorn, that 3rd to the 12th of January. Well, Mars, that relates to energy, assertion, vitality, and Capricorn is about ambition, practicality, and making things tangible. Now, the good thing is that Mars is also exalted in Capricorn, and so the energy of Mars is very constructive in this scenario in Capricorn, rather than its often very destructive self. Now, is there anything interesting in the symbology of the card? Oh, look, this resembles a DNA helix, doesn't it? Which is talking about life Let's talk about work. There's someone who's been obviously building a wall on this side. These are alchemical symbols. That's a symbol for Mercury, for different elements. This is the symbol for Mercury, for salt, and for sulfur. Other than to say, oh, and here's this big slash of red coming through. I imagine that is a relation to Mars, which I have seen in the card. Now, what can we say about it is that you could be getting new things coming your way. This is about gradual progress and a duty to yourself and self-confidence. It indicates full employment of your energies in any situation which you feel yourself obliged to deal with. You're willing to undertake even difficult tasks. The sense of obligation, I think, comes from within. And your whole being is needed. Full engagement of your energy is necessary now. I think these three things here, they symbolize in a way also body, mind, and spirit. None of these can be left out. Only through their combined and balanced use will you see visible results. Now, I see career satisfaction with you here, doing a good job and continued progression, a lot of productivity, teamwork, consulting with other people, maybe getting outside help in. Capricorn's materialism here benefits from the energy and activity of Mars. So this card signifies that investing time and effort in work, however broadly you want to define that, is actually going to turn out very favorably for you. I think there's also going to be reward for your hard work and dedication, and your skill and knowledge will move you forward. These speaks of great outcomes for career, business projects, and practical matters in general. Life generally is going to be in balance for you. Fantastic. And you will reap the rewards of a balanced life. You'll have a great ability to stick with things and overcome any obstacles. And put your sails up, put up the spinnaker and let the wind fill it, because you'll be moving forward now. Some situation, I think, is demanding your readiness to work steadily. So engage yourself totally. It is going to be worth it. In what areas do you still hold yourself back? In which areas could you be giving more of your energies? Find out and remain aware of what you want to set your full energies towards achieving, and say this to yourself: I am now ready to give everything and to receive everything. I love myself and I'm prepared to be rewarded. Well, that's the way it is for you this month. Well, splendid. I really enjoyed doing that, I must say. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did providing it to you. As I say, I really do enjoy doing these monthly readings for you, so please drop me a note of appreciation on the channel and give my morale a bit of a boost, and keep that virtuous circle going around. I've got to say, it's always good to see you each month, and we're getting ready for the next month. Now, before the next month, though, just remember one thing, and that one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. So until then, it's bye for now.